So that is Resident Evil 5, but we're gonna watch the complete timeline up until Resident Evil 6. Up until the end of Resident Evil 6. We're not gonna watch the timeline to Resident Evil 7 because we're gonna play Resident Evil 7. Twitch has been freaking out about the bitrate that I have. And it's, you know, when you're streaming, you have to upload, and when you're uploading, you have to do less than 5,000 bits per second for Twitch, which is not great for most stuff. Like, you know, if you want to do like a 4K stream, it's weird. I don't know why they, because 5,000 bits per second is not that much. That's why most streams don't look that great. My stream right now, according to Twitch, in the last 15 minutes, 480,000 kilobits per second. I don't even have that much upload speed. All right, let's close this one. That was good. That was a good video. That was a good video. But let's check the one from GameSpot. And let's see, Umbrella Origins, the Ashford, Stars, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 3, Nemesis, Resident Evil 2, 3 again, Code Veronica, Darkseid, Umbrella, Resident Evil 4, yep, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil Revelation Z, 6, and then you said just don't watch past RE7. Yeah, we're not going to watch 7. So we're going to make it all the way to Vendetta. So this is a full recap timeline with explanations for Resident Evil. We have played Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4. And we're about to start 7 after this. So let's watch this one. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video. So make sure you have your drinks, make sure you're comfortable, and then we're going to start with Resident Evil 7.
The Resident Evil franchise has a sprawling timeline that interweaves its complex narrative across 8 mainline games, a handful of spin-offs, and countless DLC expansions. But how does it all tie together? Well, largely it's pretty linear. What's not so straightforward is that the ever-evolving timeline takes in everything from corporate conspiracies and human cloning to the American president's daughter.
Whenever somebody says the timeline is convoluted, I just think back to the Fate games. I watched 3 of the animes for Fate. And it turns... I watched Fate Stay Night and Fate Zero. And Zero 2. And turns out there's so much more. Oh, the reason because games are no longer available? Yeah, so... Here, okay, so a lot of this lore is going to be here because the games are either no longer available or we didn't play. Because, for example, we didn't play the Resident Evil 1 remake, mainly because of tank controls. So, yeah. But, yeah, this timeline is probably going to be a little bit more comprehensive, a little bit easier to understand than something like Fate. But I'm pretty sure Path of Exile is easier to understand than Fate. So, yeah.
And whatever the hell this thing is. From the convoluted creation of the Umbrella Corporation through to the gothic horror of Resident Evil Village, via the crowd-pleasing, boulder-punching antics of one Chris Redfield. Hey, my name's Adam, and this is the complete timeline of Resident Evil.
Oh my god. He actually punches a boulder. Okay. Mother Miranda.
Chronologically speaking, our story kicks off with a good chunk of backstory for Resident Evil Village, the main story of which bookends this timeline right at the very end.
Alright, we're... Oh, fuck off. Where were we? Oh yeah, the...
of Resi Village, Mother Miranda is living out her life peacefully in Eastern Europe with her daughter Eva until the Spanish flu...
I'm sorry. Okay, we're back on Resident Evil. It's been like 15 seconds. The fuck do you mean living in living peacefully in Eastern Europe? No. That's like saying you jump into the pool and stay dry. That does not happen. One does not get to live in Eastern Europe in peace before like 1999. And even then, depends on which part of Eastern Europe. Or One Piece just keeps running for 100 years? Probably. That's another contender. Same. Well, no, Dragon Ball is no longer possible. But yeah.
flu pandemic whips through her community in 1919, killing all and sundry. Eva's death sends Miranda into a downward spiral, and she ventures off into a cave network beneath the village to seek out death. Ironically, instead of finding a quick death, she discovers a form of mold known as the megamycete.
I love that it's not baby oil. I love that, Jeppy. You could live peacefully in some parts of Eastern Europe since 1989. Your statement doesn't contradict mine. Did he say what year she was in? Because these are black and white pictures. This is before, like, at most early 80s. So
genome.
Yeah, let's skip the Mother Miranda because that's gonna spoil Village. All right, Umbrella's origins.
Company.
Let's see the origins of Umbrella. It's not baby oil.
In 1962, Spencer commissioned architect George Trevor to design and build a certain mansion and research laboratory in the Arklay Mountains. Trevor finally finishes his mad masterpiece in 1967, and it's a labyrinthine structure full of locked doors that make no logical sense. No. And in order to hide the mansion's terrible secrets forever, Spencer, being the awful bastard that he is, invites the Trevor family to stay.
So not a safe time for Eastern Europe.
They never leave. Across the swinging 60s, he joins forces with university pal James Marcus and eccentric millionaire Edward Ashford on an expedition to locate a legendary African flower known as the Stairway to the Sun. This flower is said to contain powerful properties, and this is confirmed when the trio extract the progenitor virus from it. This virus has the ability to genetically alter organisms, and they immediately transport it back to the USA. Our evil trio then established the Umbrella Corporation as a legitimate pharmaceuticals company, as a cover for their totally illegitimate viral research, and their ultimate goal of creating a race of superhumans.
Okay, so in the business, we would call this a front company. Usually, front companies... Oh no, you could absolutely have a front company. Like, in general, the most popular use of a front company is to launder money. Not so much for this, because you have three types. You have shell companies, shelf companies, and front companies. Shell companies do not exist. Like, they only exist on paper. Shelf companies are more of a gray area, and front companies would be this, or Pollos Hermanos from Breaking Bad, which they weren't laundering money, they were making meth. So, yeah. So Resident Evil is real? It's just Pfizer.
Or at least that's Spencer's ultimate goal. Ashford becomes increasingly frustrated with the other two, and he makes for Antarctica to set up his own research labs, which would later hold the Code Veronica project. Ashford never sees the Code Veronica project come to fruition though, as in July 1968, he's injected with the progenitor virus himself on the orders of all-round bad egg Spencer, and he swiftly dies. He was succeeded by his son Alexander, who takes control of the Antarctica Umbrella Lab in an effort to keep his father's work going, albeit with more of a focus on cloning. Back in the USA, Spencer and Marcus take control of Umbrella facilities in the Arklay Mountains, just outside of Raccoon City. Spencer continues his research into the progenitor virus in the lab under the newly constructed mansion, while Marcus is appointed as director of the newly founded Umbrella training facility. Spencer's plan is to create a race of superhumans dubbed Project Wesker, and this nefarious plan sees Umbrella kidnap a whole load of children to be loyal foot soldiers to Spencer's cause, and they are all brainwashed and injected with the progenitor virus. Sadly, most of them die, except for a certain Albert Wesker, who we'll come to be quite familiar with across this timeline.
The parallels between this and Metal Gear Solid 4 are so fucking funny. And Metal Gear Solid in general are so funny. The parallels between this and Metal Gear Solid are hilarious. Because they do something similar, except instead of stealing children, they try to make their own. And most of them just die as well. Gonna play Super Mario Marvel Rivals. I've been having a lot of fun with both. We're gonna play Resident Evil 7. That's why we're watching this, because we just finished Resident Evil 4 the other day, like 2 weeks ago. And we're gonna start 7. And then we're gonna play Village. Yeah, I think we're gonna just binge Resident Evil until we're done. Let's see.
Meanwhile, in Antarctica, Alexander Ashford's Code
We're not
Veronica
playing 5 and
project
6.
is finally complete. In
'Cause
1971, Ashford
suck.
creates 2 clones from his family DNA,
Were made around the
Alfred
same
and
time, so it's
Alexia.
not like they
Fast
stole
forward
ideas
to
from each
January
other.
1978, yep,
love it,
the
yeah.
70s were seemingly sparse for the Resi franchise, and Marcus is making a breakthrough with his research at the Umbrella training facility. By splicing
made
the
it around the same
progenitor
time,
with
yeah.
leached DNA, he creates
And they
the
all go
T
bonkers
virus,
insane.
or at least a strain that doesn't immediately kill those exposed to it. It just turns them into hideously mutated creatures.
Well, the Metal Gear Solid goes more on the
Not sure
political
which one
side,
of those is the best
like the
option, if
political
I'm
route.
honest.
His research is assisted by 2 students from the Umbrella training facility,
We are
Doctors
gonna
William
play Metal Gear
Birkin
Solid
and
one day.
Albert Wesker. But their work together does not last long, as at the end of the school year, the
Probably when
Umbrella
Delta
training
comes out.
facility is closed down, and Birkin, Wesker, and the T-Virus are all moved to Spencer's Arclay research labs. Suspicious of Spencer's motives, Marcus continues to stay behind with his work and experiments on anything and everything from mammals to reptiles.
All of which will pop up as end-of-level bosses in Resident Evil 0.
Oh. Interesting. The Ashfords. I just want to point out, he mentioned an heir called Alexander, which is the one that took everything off the rails. If you are a historical figure, or a figure in general, and you don't want your heritage to be completely taken off the rails, do not name simply do not name your child Alexander. And that's it. That's all you need. That's all you need. That's like the cheat code. That's like the cheat code. You want things to just spin completely out of control and go beyond your wildest dreams. Just name the kid Alexander, and let him have everything, and that's it. Just that's it. That just goes off, and that's it. So yeah, we're not playing Resident Evil 5 or 6. Mainly because 5 it doesn't control that well. Because I did play a little bit of 5 a while back when it came out, and 6 is just bad. It takes place in Guatemala, so if it is related to Guatemala, it's bad. Case in point.
The early 1980s are not a good time for the Ashford family. Remember Alexia? Well, she's grown up to become a 10-year-old child mastermind and is promptly appointed the senior researcher at Umbrella's Antarctica lab, much to the annoyance of 21-year-old Wesker. Keep up, Albert.
After learning about their origin as clones,
Okay.
Alexia and her brother Alfred vow to hunt down and capture their father, which they succeed in doing in 1983. With Alexander in custody, Alexia uses him as a test subject for research into her new version of the T-virus,
Should have
known
cut
as
that
the
one scene from Star Wars,
T-Veronica
yeah.
virus.
Yeah,
Surprise,
they should
surprise,
have.
the experiment turns him into a
Yeah, there you go. Star Wars New Hope. It could have been a 10 out of 10. Not a 10 out of 10. Like a 9 out of 10. 7 out of 10 because one scene happens. Because there's 7 to 15 seconds that happen in Guatemala. There you go. There you go. Star Wars could have been great. Could have been great. And you know one thing about the new trilogy? Oscar Isaac is Guatemalan. Every single one of the movies I've watched with, I've seen him, every single project I've seen him in that is Disney related, not very good. Coincidence? I don't think so. Let's continue. I'm pausing way too much.
psychotic monster, later known as Nosferatu. Nope, not that one. Taking the failed experiment on the chin, Alexia uses the data she obtained on her father to inject herself with the T-Veronica virus, while she peacefully sleeps the effects off in a cryogenic chamber for 15
He's been good
years.
at so many movies,
Don't
yeah.
worry, we'll come
Yeah,
back
but
to
not
this
Disney's.
mad child prodigy later on.
Not
Back in
Disney's.
the Arclay labs, research on the virus, now headed up by William Birkin, has stalled. Umbrella have discovered that 10% of the population are naturally immune to the virus, and
That's
Birkin
why I made
sets
the
himself
distinction.
the morbid task of solving this unique problem.
His answer comes in the form of a bioorganic weapon, or BOW for short, known as
Bow.
the Hunter, which is born through splicing reptilian and human DNA with the
Bow.
T-virus. Birkin's research and development continues across the 80s and culminates with the start of
Like
a
it
little
comes from
project known
Halo.
as the Tyrant.
James Marcus.
Okay, it's late 1988, and I think it's about time we catch up with our good pal James Marcus, who's slowly been going off the rails with his own brand of the T-virus research.
As an independent researcher, Marcus makes headway by continuing to experiment with leeches, and in some extreme cases, his own
Leeches.
staff. And he eventually creates his magnum opus,
brutal.
the Queen Leech. His old mate Oswell Spencer
names.
is having none of this though, and seeks to regain control of the T-Virus research by assassinating Marcus and stealing his work. He sends in a team of Umbrella soldiers alongside Wesker and Birkin, and they shoot and kill Marcus before dumping his body and his precious Queen Leech at a nearby sewerage treatment.
I wonder if they'll crop back up in this story. Spoilers, they do.
Like, you are, I'm not apologizing for pausing. Like, you are working on these, like, bioweapons and everything like that. And yes, your competition, you want to, like, supersede your competition, you want to beat him the fuck up, you want him dead. But you then take this and dump it into one of the environments where it can very easily thrive. For these people being like lab scientists and everything, they're not very smart. But then again, I guess that's one of the cool parts about this, that it could be by design. That it is by design. Stars.
The 90s sees Umbrella expand their operations across the Arklay Mountains and into neighbouring Raccoon City,
culture, just
with
dump the
Birkin
trash into the
making
sewers.
significant progress with his research creating the superior G-Virus in the process. Spencer commissions a gigantic underground lab to be built underneath the city, a job that he covers up by bribing Raccoon City Police Chief Brian Irons.
Yep.
Bryans.
Fast forward to 1996 and the Raccoon City Police Department instigate the inaugural special...
Okay, well, he's in his bloopers. Just to explain, for those of you who are not aware, to explain what Dunkel just said. He said, it's the effects of Guatemalan culture, just dump trash into the sewers. Not too many years ago, the capital of Guatemala, the capital city of Guatemala, which is around the same size as Budapest, flooded. Because for too many years, the people were using the sewers, you know, the sewer entries, the drains on the streets. They were just dumping their trash. And I'm not talking about, oh, here's like, I'm eating McDonald's and I just dumped the cup or whatever. No, I'm talking their daily, weekly trash. Think about Guatemala. The pipes in Guatemala are not good enough to flush away toilet paper. So you have to toss it with the rest of your trash. And guess what? They were tossing their trash into the sewers, including the toilet paper. So I don't know how many decades of that. Eventually, the city flooded. Because every single drain was clogged with trash. With years of trash. That's Guatemala.
Fast forward to 1996 and the Raccoon City Police Department instigate the inaugural Special Tactics and Rescue Services Unit, or STARS for short.
Yay.
You are a pesky animal.
Although it's under the jurisdiction of the RPD, it remains a privately funded, independent venture, namely so Umbrella can keep their fingers in the pie. Disgusting. During this time, Albert Wesker is assigned to STARS by Umbrella, and he quickly becomes the captain of the squad's Alpha team.
Right, we have finally reached the most pivotal year in the entire Resident Evil timeline, 1998. A year in which a whopping 5 games in the franchise take place.
In May 1998, there is a catastrophic outbreak of the T-Virus at the Spencer Mansion Labs, and a handful of Cerberus, zombie dogs to you and me, escape into the Arklay Mountains and start killing unfortunate hikers. In an attempt to contain the outbreak, Umbrella locks down the Mansion Lab and the T-Virus begins to spread among the poor staff still there. Naturally, with the horrific nature of the Arklay killings, the stories emerging inspire a media firestorm, and the press start putting pressure on the RPD to get the situation under control.
Nice.
Chief Irons dispatches the STARS, Alpha and Bravo teams to investigate the surrounding mountains, with Wesker overseeing the missions. Unbeknownst to the rest of his teams though, Wesker's directive from Umbrella HQ is instead to gain critical information about the site's BOWs and destroy the mansion before it is discovered. Alongside that, he is ordered to gather information about the BOWs' combat ability, specifically in their interactions with the incoming STARS teams.
Makes so much sense. Resident Evil 0.
And so we finally reach the very first game in the Resident Evil timeline, which details the
GameCube,
STARS
man.
Bravo team's failed mission. The Bravo team make their way out to the Arklay Mountains only for their helicopter to crash en route, courtesy of a little bit of sabotage from our good mate Wesker. Instead of making for the Spencer Mansion, as per their original plan, the team stumble onto the wreck of a military convoy with all the soldiers very much dead. They discovered that the troop had been escorting accused murderer Billy Cohen, and putting two and two together and making five, assume Billy is the lad responsible for all the brutal killings. They split up, and rookie STARS member Rebecca Chambers quickly discovers an abandoned train, the Ecliptic Express.
Now remember that I said that James Marcus and his Queen Leech would make a comeback into this story? Well, boy, what a comeback it is.
It turns out that when Umbrella dumped Marcus and his leech in that sewerage facility, the leech slowly ate away at Marcus's body and mind, effectively absorbing his personality. The end result was a reincarnated Marcus-Leech hybrid thing, hell-bent on revenge with Umbrella.
This franchise is totally bonkers, but I absolutely love it.
With Marcus back from the dead,
That
he
is
goes to
pretty bonkers.
town on the poor inhabitants of the train, and by the time Rebecca Chambers stumbles onto the train, they are all dead. Or undead, I guess, having been consumed by Marcus's
enough.
army of leeches. Rebecca boards the train, encounters death row inmate Billy Cohen, and they start to investigate the express, keen to get the train back on its journey. Wesker and Birkin send in a team of Umbrella soldiers who succeed in getting the train underway, but promptly get chomped by the leeches. Rebecca and Billy manage to bring the train to a stop, albeit a messy one, and emerge from the wreckage at the Umbrella training facility.
A stop is a stop,
Marcus, or the hybrid leech thing, reveals himself to Wesker and Birkin, and this leads the duo to activate the facility's
Looks like
self-destruct
Sephiroth.
function. Caught in the middle of
I
all of
haven't
this
even
are
played
poor
Final
Rebecca
Fantasy
and
and I know
Billy,
Sephiroth.
who navigate their way out of the facility, kill the Queen Leech, and get to safety before the place blows sky high. As they overlook the destruction, Rebecca allows the actually innocent Billy to go free, and she leaves him to go and help Alpha Team at a familiar looking mansion. The game then ends with Billy giving the cheesiest thumbs up I've ever seen.
Nice. Now to Resident Evil 1.
Okay, we are now with the OG Resident Evil, which
Nice
details the
try.
exploits of Alpha Team in their mission to investigate the Arklay killings. Headed up by Wesker, the STARS squad includes expert marksman Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, the master of unlocking, top explosives lad
Master
Barry
of
Burton,
unlocking.
and helicopter pilot Brad Vickers. The team successfully land near the mansion, but are quickly caught off guard by a pack of zombie dogs, which forces them into the Spencer Mansion. Separated, they each make their way through the illogical maze of corridors, encountering and surviving the zombified Umbrella staff, BOWs, and various other mutations. Meanwhile,
Nice.
Wesker is pulling the strings behind the scenes. He strong-arms Barry into helping him set traps for the rest of the STARS team
Silver
by
Serpent.
threatening to kill his family. Chris and Jill survive everything and anything that's thrown at them: sharks, snakes, spiders, bad dialogue, and they meet up with Rebecca Chambers on their way to getting out of the mansion. Wesker is finally revealed to be a traitor to Alpha Team, and as a result he releases Umbrella's Tyrant Project, a huge mutated man-mountain in a bid to kill the remaining STARS members. Chris, Jill and
They
Rebecca
fail.
fight off the Tyrant, and thanks to the impeccable timing of Vickers' return with the helicopter, they all escape as the Spencer Mansion self-destructs. There's definitely a pattern emerging here, right? Amidst the chaos, Wesker manages to survive as well, albeit without the critical BOW samples he intended to gather, and he leaves
he's in
Umbrella for good.
Okay, so now we get Resident Evil 3.
Okay, a couple of months have passed and we catch up with Jill Valentine during the events of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Under pressure from Umbrella, STARS has been disbanded, and nobody believes the team about what they saw in the Arklay Mountains.
The T-virus has very
And this
much
is why
arrived
body
in
cams are
downtown
so
Raccoon
good
City,
nowadays.
having spread from that gigantic underground lab that somehow remains secret. With the zombie population on the rise, there is chaos in the streets, and the RPD is quickly overwhelmed. Umbrella, in a series of questionable decisions, starts deploying BOWs all across Raccoon City. Chief among them is the dapper Mr. X, and the titular foe of Resi 3, Nemesis. Nemesis is given the mission of
Nemesis is
hunting
so
down
wild.
former STARS members, And keeping this momentum going, he begins his unrelenting chase of Jill Valentine. Across town, the Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service, God, that's a mouthful, arrive and start evacuating anyone who's not a zombie. In her attempts to escape, Jill runs into UBCS team member Carlos Oliveira, and the pair take the fight to Nemesis while trying to escape the ruins of the city.
Brazilian.
During their fight, Jill becomes infected with the T-virus, leaving poor Carlos to fend for himself and find a cure for Jill.
Will she survive? We'll have to wait until later, because we've got a date with a blonde hunk.
Okay. I like the video so far.
Taking place concurrently with Resident Evil 3 is the campaign to Resident Evil 2, which sees new cop on the block Leon Kennedy and Chris Redfield's sister Claire appear for the first time in the franchise.
Leon arrives in Raccoon City for his first day on the job in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. After encountering Claire Redfield, who's searching for her brother Chris at an out-of-town gas station, the pair make their way into the heart of the city before getting separated during a car accident. Leon eventually makes his way to the RPD, which is completely overrun with zombies. After navigating the station's bizarre lock and key setup, it is an old museum after all, Leon finds himself down in the cells where he runs into the mysterious Ada Wong. Ada's mission is to swipe a vial of the G-virus, and Leon agrees to go along with it, the naive heartthrob. As they're investigating, the pair are attacked by Mr. X, and they escape into the sewers where they encounter Annette Birkin, wife of Umbrella scientist William. Annette injures Ada and informs Leon that he's working with a mercenary who wants to sell the virus on the black market. Leon, the fool that he is, descends into Birkin's lab anyway, swipes the G-virus and returns to Ada, who immediately holds him up at gunpoint for it. Annette pops up one last time, shoots Ada, and in the ensuing chaos, the G-virus and Ada fall into the abyss. As Leon tries to escape the lab, Mr. X makes one last encore before being dispatched by a handy rocket launcher that is thrown to him by Ada, who has miraculously survived her fall. Meanwhile, Claire encounters a young girl, Sherry, daughter of William Birkin, and they manage to escape a giant creature by taking refuge in the RPD car park, where they meet morally bankrupt police chief Brian Irons. Brian kidnaps Sherry and locks her in a neighbouring abandoned orphanage. As Claire mounts a rescue mission, a tyrant drops in on Irons, infecting him with a parasite. Irons dies and Sherry flees, while Claire manages to escape into the sewers, only to bump into Sherry's mum, Annette, who reveals that the creature chasing her daughter is in fact her mutated father. Turns out our Will had plans to sell his G-virus creation to the US military, a plan that didn't go down too well with Umbrella, who promptly sent in a team to kill him. To save himself, Birkin injected himself with the G-virus, turning the good doctor into a repulsive monster. In the ensuing carnage, he destroyed a bunch of T-virus stores, which led to the Raccoon City outbreak. When Claire and Annette find Sherry, they discover that she's already been infected by her father, and the pair hatch a plan to find a cure from within Birkin's labs. Claire succeeds in finding an antidote, and in the chaos of getting back to cure Sherry, Annette is killed by her husband. Naturally, the whole facility enacts the now contractually obliged self-destruct function, and Claire and Sherry escape to an evacuation train, where they meet back up with Leon. Birkin has one more crack at killing them, fails, and is then caught in the fires of the exploding labs.
And now back to Resident Evil 3. Yeah, we knew that's how it was going.
Okay, let's wrap up that cliffhanger from earlier. Carlos, being the absolute lad that he is, scavenges a cure for Jill because by this stage they're just lying around the wastes of Raccoon City, and she recovers from her infection. The pair make their way through a series of underground Umbrella labs in an attempt to escape the city before it's nuked from the air. It's the only way to be sure. En route, they're ambushed by good old Nemesis one last time, and Jill fires the killing blow with the biggest of big f***ing guns.
Like, even having a rail gun, like, that's
After
the parallels
Nemesis
between Metal
and
Gear
overpowering
and
one of
Resident
Carlos's
Evil.
corrupt squad mates, the pair ride off into the sunset and Raccoon City is reduced to ashes behind them.
Metal Gear doesn't have as many spin-off games, though. Only like 3, I think. Worth playing, at least. Code Veronica. Okay, so here's completely uncharted territory for me.
Alright, 3 months have passed since the devastation in Raccoon City, and Claire Redfield is still searching for her brother Chris. Her search takes her to an Umbrella facility in Paris, where she is eventually caught in a sequence heavily riffing on John Woo. Umbrella locks her up in an isolated prison in the Southern Ocean known as RE4 Island. And lo and behold, there is an outbreak of the T-virus on the island, and Claire soon gets set free. Soon after, she encounters the world's most irritating Canadian, a floppy-haired lad called Steve Burnside, and the pair team up to escape the island.
Hot take, all Canadians are irritating.
In their way stands Alfred Ashford, one of the clones created by Umbrella co-founder Alexander Ashford, and, well, he's gone a bit insane. His time alone and apart from his twin sister Alexia has led him to cultivate a split personality, and he switches frequently between the identities of himself and Alexia.
That's cool.
Claire and Steve soon break free from RE4 Island, only for Alfred to divert their plane to the nearby Umbrella facility in Antarctica, using the system's autopilot override. Crash landing in Antarctica, the pair finally defeat Alfred, who uses his final spark of life to awaken his sister Alexia from her cryosleep.
Ooh.
She's not the only Ashford in Antarctica though. Turns out Papa Alexander Ashford, the other Nosferatu, is still around and he's hungry for revenge.
Ooh.
As Claire squares off against the hideous remains of
cool.
Alexander, Alexia takes control of the situation and captures our heroic duo as they attempt to escape. Meanwhile, back on RE4 Island, Chris has turned up searching for his sister. In his search of the island, he bumps into none other than Dr. Albert Wesker, who has gone rogue from Umbrella since the Spencer Mansion incident, and is there to retrieve a sample of the T. Veronica virus. With their goals both in Antarctica, the pair separately make haste for the Umbrella base.
Man, Wesker tries and fails a lot of times to just get any sort of samples. And he's been at it for a while. Holy shit.
There, Chris saves Claire, poor Steve becomes infected and dies, Alexia is finally defeated, and that sneaky bastard Wesker makes off with Steve's T. Veronica virus-riddled body, all while Umbrella's Antarctica base,
sample.
You guessed it, self-destructs.
That's a big explosion. Dark Side Chronicles.
Next up on our timeline is the
For the
We Like
Wii.
Guns spin-off Resident Evil Dark Side
Nice.
Chronicles, which largely regales the events of Resident Evil 2 and Code Veronica. But it does have one story mission that is unique and takes our timeline a little bit further, and that's Operation Javier.
4 years after the disastrous
with an
events in
R.
Raccoon City, Leon Kennedy and Special Ops member Jack Krauser are dispatched to South America to apprehend cartel leader Javier Hidalgo,
Guatemala.
who has apparently infected his daughter Manuela with the Veronica virus. Leon and Krauser encounter and secure Manuela before proceeding to Hidalgo's complex. There, they
That looks like
defeat
Brazil.
Javier, who has fused himself with the Veronica virus
Amazon.
to become some
Oh, no, the
kind
Amazon.
of
They were sent
giant
to the
killer
Amazon.
plant. And they escape with Manuela
Or is it
via
just in
helicopter.
South America in
During the
general?
fight, Krauser's arm is wounded and becomes infected, and as a result, he's discharged from the US Army. This leads him down a darker path, as he contacts Resi Big Bad Albert Wesker to join his team.
Oh, okay, so that's how it is. The Umbrella Chronicles.
Umbrella Chronicles is next on our timeline, and it largely retreads grounds from Resident Evil 0, 1, and 3. But it does have a unique story mission called Umbrella's End, and I'm guessing you can figure out what that entails.
The year is
Yes, the actual
2003.
end of Umbrella.
Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine are investigating Umbrella's last known stronghold, a facility in Russia which is developing a new bioweapon known as the Talos Project. Chris and Jill, being the experts that they are, infiltrate the facility and destroy the Talos. But wait, who's that on the horizon? It's only bloody Wesker again, here to take his final revenge on Umbrella. Wesker flings his coat into the camera like an absolute
South America was
nutter. It
Guatemala?
must be freezing out.
Wait, it was actually Guatemala. It was actually in Guatemala? Guatemala doesn't have those kinds of rivers, though. Like, that's the river that they show. That's an Amazonian river. Guatemala doesn't quite have that kind of river. I mean, they both have rainforests and whatnot, but the rivers in Guatemala are not like that. I know because I'm from there. But whatever, yeah, they and you think devs no care exactly. Like, I don't think the Japanese cared. They mention it in Resident Evil 4. That's why I am the one who issued the correction here, because in Resident Evil 4, when we fought legally distinct Biff from Back to the Future, he mentions it. He's the one who mentions it. That Operation Javier is in Guatemala.
there, and he tears his way into the compound. He encounters Sergei Vladimir, a high-ranking Umbrella leader who has been working closely with Lord Spencer to keep Umbrella going in the wake of the Raccoon City outbreaks.
They've described a Colt 1911 as a fully automatic pistol, so I don't think the days are always correct. Yeah, it sounds like they didn't. I mean, to be fair, shit. Hang on, I dropped a thing here. This is like late 90s, early 2000s. Access to information was not as easily. Information wasn't as easily accessible as it is nowadays. That much is certain. So you're a lot more likely to get things wrong back then. So it makes sense.
Sergei is no match for Wesker, though, who quickly dispatches him and steals Umbrella's deepest, darkest secrets, which he then makes public. As a result, Umbrella loses its long-standing legal battle with the US government, a dispute that's been going on since 1998, and Umbrella declares bankruptcy as a result. Nothing more exciting than court proceedings to bring an evil, monster-creating...
Just point to the country of the map. Nobody knows... Wait, just... point to some country on the map nobody knows. Takahashi, good enough. Yep. Shit, I dropped. I need to get rubber bands, but I digress. I need to steal some from the office.
Incorporation to its knees, eh, lads?
Okay. Now we go for Resident Evil 4. Okay. Now we're catching up.
With Umbrella a thing of the past, Resident Evil 4 kicks off a new era for the franchise.
I just realized, at no point do we actually... this shows how far back these games were made, because we're talking about a giant evil corporation, and not once have we talked about the CEO. I have to go to the office for that. I'm going on Monday, because I have to drop my sick note. So, I'll do that. And we have... because we have the... By the way, no stream on Monday. So...
RE4 is a largely self-contained chapter in the franchise, taking the series away from its zombified roots. The year is 2004, and Leon Kennedy is dispatched to rescue the American president's daughter, Ashley, from a mysterious cult in deepest, darkest Spain. Okay. He arrives at a creepy rural farmstead populated by a group of hostile villagers who have pledged their allegiance to the cult of Los Iluminados. The villagers are effectively being controlled by a parasite known as Las Plagas, with the cult leader Osmond Sadler calling the shots. Leon, after surviving chainsaws, giants, and a mutated salamander, finally tracks down Ashley to a nearby church, and the pair later escape to a castle which doesn't look menacing in the slightest. Jokes, it's under the control of creepy man-child Ramon Salazar, another of Sadler's henchmen.
That's how he looked originally?
Leon and Ashley get separated amidst the castle's deadly traps. Leon encounters an old acquaintance.
He looks like an actual child back then. In the previous version, like nowadays, he looks like, I don't know, like an overgrown version of Hasbullah. If you don't know who Hasbullah is, Hasbullah is it's this guy. He's a full-grown adult. He just can't, like, his body just never produced any of the necessary hormones to grow his body. How old is this guy? He's 22 years old. So, yeah. There you go. Is that the terrorist? No, that's Hezbollah.
The lady in the red dress, Ada Wong.
Long time no see.
Leon battles his way out of the castle, killing a mutated Salazar, and makes his way to find Ashley at an offshore
Salazar
island facility.
like an actual
Old
child.
acquaintances are like London buses, it seems, as Leon then bumps into his former special ops buddy, Jack Krauser. Krauser then reveals that he and Ada are both working for Wesker to secure the Las Plagas parasite, and Leon, being the good egg boy that he is, defeats him. Leon then confronts Sadler himself, killing him atop the island's research facility with a good old-fashioned rocket launcher to the face, courtesy again of Ada. Ada then holds Leon up at gunpoint again,
oh yeah, they gave her, like,
she
the
makes
actual
off
Chinese
with a sample
dress
of the
now.
Las Plagas virus.
Like that back then.
Meanwhile, Leon and Ashley escape the island self-destruct sequence on jet skis.
Yeah, I like how they made her look in the new. I like the looks on the newer ones. it doesn't really take away that much because it's still like Ada still looks hot in the newer one. It just looks a lot more suited for the task at hand, and it's still a dress, you know. So
Resident Evil 4, what game?
yep. And now Revelations.
Resident Evil Revelations takes place smack bang between Resis 4 and 5 and introduces the
Okay, so we're not going to
Bioterrorism
talk about separate
Security
ways
Assessment Alliance into the mix,
I guess it doesn't
or
matter.
BSAA for fans of acronyms.
In the wake of a bioterrorism attack that destroys the city of Terra Grigia, BSAA agents Jill Valentine and Parker Luciani are dispatched to the last known location of their missing team members, Chris Redfield, who's now got massive arms, and Jessica Sherowat. The last known location turns out to be the Queen Zenobia cruiser, which is drifting in the Mediterranean Sea, seemingly abandoned. While there, Jill and Parker are ambushed by an organisation called Veltro, the folks responsible for the previous bio-attacks, and they are imprisoned. The BSAA makes contact with Chris, why didn't they do that in the first place, and sends him and Jessica in to rescue Jill and Parker, and they make for the Zenobia. Chris and Jill eventually reunite because that's what everyone really wants, and foil a plot to contaminate the sea with a virus known as the T-Abyss. At some point, they're just going to run out of names for these viruses.
They're running the names. Degeneration.
Right, time for something a little different. And by different, I mean mostly the same, but now it's a film.
The first of a trilogy of CG animated movies, Resident Evil Degeneration sees series stalwarts Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield foil another Raccoon City-like bioterrorism plot.
So there were more movies rather than just the thing. Pause me and check cancer. Hang on. This is not cancer. This is cancer. Let me get a let me open it in a new tab. What the fuck is this? What the hell is this? What the hell is this, Jeppy? Half ass cheek in, half ass cheek out. That is Jessica from Revelations in the most useless. This is a diving suit? Man, this gonna get frostbite. This gonna get frostbite. This is a diving suit. Oh my god, this is. I love Japanese developers. They are just so unbelievable. Get the fuck out of my chat. She wears that for the mission on the ship. Hey, maybe it got ripped when she was climbing up or something like that. So, maybe, you know, like, who knows? I love Japanese developers, dude. I love it.
But this time it's on a wider scale across the whole US. It kind of feels like you're watching a 90-minute long and unskippable cutscene, when all you want to do is explore a bit and shoot some zombies in the face.
Infinite Darkness.
A year or so later, we get the mad conspiracy shenanigans of the Netflix series Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. After a civil war in the fictional nation of Penamstan, a war in which the US sent in a special operations unit known as the Mad Dogs, Leon and Claire come back together to untangle a potential cover-up alluding to the use of bioweapons.
Like the animated ones are
long story short, there is a cover-up within the White House, no less, which Claire manages to, well, uncover, while the blonde Curtains himself gallivants on a globe-trotting adventure to China and back to stop a tyrant-esque super soldier, which he naturally does.
Back when you were allowed to depict something bad happening in China. Man, those were the days, weren't they?
Because he's Leon S. Kennedy, and the S stands for Stop Using Bioweapons.
Lost in Nightmares. Okay, we're just rapid fire. Resident Evil 5.
Fast forward about a year, and our dream team, Chris and Jill, have finally tracked down the last remaining co-founding member of Umbrella, Lord Oswell E. Spencer.
Jill, the master of unlocking, uses a lockpick to break into Spencer's residence, and the duo make their way through the mansion until they encounter not Spencer, but Wesker. Having arrived ahead of them, Wesker brutally murders Spencer by just punching him right through the chest. It's just devastating.
That's the 8-minute video.
Wesker then squares off against Chris and Jill, and as the battle comes to its conclusion, Jill rugby tackles Wesker out of a window and they both plummet down a cliff. Did they survive? Of course they did. Wesker cryogenically freezes Jill in preparation for
RE5. Now for the game proper.
Yeah, we're heading to Africa for Resident Evil 5, which takes place nearly 3 years later. The game follows Chris Redfield and BSAA partner Sheva Alomar as they investigate an outbreak on the Las Plagas parasite in an African town. Chris and Sheva stop an illegal arms deal and as a result stumble onto evidence that Jill is still alive. Driven to find his old partner, Chris continues the investigation, and the pair find themselves in the cave that started this whole mad franchise off in the first place. Yeah, they rediscover the origins of the T-virus, the stairway to the sunflower, and uncover a conspiracy involving the BSAA's parent company, Tricell, who have been sneakily continuing on with Umbrella's research. Chris and Shiva eventually catch up to Jill Valentine, sporting a new blonde haircut, and wrestle her in order to remove a mind control device that is attached to her chest. To absolutely no one's surprise, Wesker reveals himself with another world-destroying plan. This time, it's firing missiles containing a virus known as Ouroboros all around the world. Our trio chase Wesker down and eventually corner him in an active volcano. Because by this point, why the f*** not? Chris and Sheva take the fight to Wesker, and in Chris's case, some poor, innocent, defenseless boulders that probably had friends and family that cared for them. And they eventually kill Wesker once and for all by firing, yep, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, it's the crowd favourite, Rezi's big bad killer, an RPG right into his smug face.
Nice. Now for Revelations 2. Okay, man, this... Yeah,
Next
it's a
up on this
convoluted
timeline is Resident Evil Revelations 2, a game whose story was heavily inspired by Czech author Franz Kafka.
A fact that I literally just found out while writing this timeline. To make my job even more complicated, Revelations 2 takes place across 2 different timelines. The first sees Claire Redfield and Moira Burton, daughter of ginger legend Barry, being kidnapped and imprisoned on an island by a mysterious woman known as the Overseer.
Wesker overall his metaphor for supremacists trying to do their supremacy thing, and the rocket to the face is metaphor for a rocket to the face. There you go. There you go. She looks like Thunder Rosa. This is... Okay. This woman looks way too much like Thunder Rosa. Like, it's a wrestler. But I stopped right on time. Thunder Rosa is a wrestler. Hang on, let me find a picture of her where she doesn't have her entire fucking face painted. Okay, maybe some of her face painted because this is a bad picture. Fucking hell. Can I get like a single picture of her not looking? Jesus Christ. Hang on. Maybe you can see the similarities here. I don't know, but it reminded me of, it was like, shit, what the fuck is this one doing here? Yeah, I digress. I digress. She does do cool face paint though. Anyway, back to the video.
A weird Kafka-esque experiment of sorts, the prisoners are fitted with bracelets that track their fear levels. Get too afraid and you turn into a monster. Ooh, symbolism. The second timeline, however, sees Barry arrive on the island in an attempt to rescue his daughter, a whopping 6 months later. The story then unfolds over 4 episodes, each of them named after a Kafka short story, and follows Claire and Moira's attempts to escape and Barry's rescue mission. Barry encounters a little girl known as Natalia, who reveals that the Overseer is in fact Alex Wesker. Contrary to popular belief, not a sister to Albert Wesker, but another child that has survived Umbrella's heinous Project Wesker.
2 Weskers?
Oh no.
You gotta be shitting me.
The quartet finally manage to escape the island, if you got the good ending that is, and defeat Alex with, oh boy, is that, yeah it is, it's back, the most classic of Resident Evil madman murdering weapons, the rocket launcher.
That looks cool. That looks really cool. Oh no. Resident Evil Damnation. Holy shit. Okay, we're getting close.
6.
Fuck. Sorry, I misclicked. Okay, we're almost there.
Before we get into the madness of Resident Evil 6, we've got another jaunt back into the CG film trilogy, with the middle entry, Resident Evil Damnation. Damnation is a considerable improvement over its predecessor, and sees Leon S. Kennedy catapulted back into the story. This time around, Leon ventures to Eastern Europe to investigate rumours that BOWs are being used in a local civil war. Obviously, they are, and he spends the runtime trying to clean up the mess, with occasional help and hindrance from the lady in red herself, Ada Wong.
Now for Resident Evil 6. This is the one that happens in Guatemala again.
Oh my god, where do I even start with Resident Evil 6?
2012 through 2013.
Playing like a greatest hits of the franchise, Resident Evil 6 features a bloated monster of a storyline, with not one, not two, not even bloody 3, but 4 different campaigns and 7 major characters.
That sounds like it could have been so cool. As a concept, that sounds like it could have been incredible.
The story kicks off on Christmas Eve 2012 with Jake Muller, the son of the late Albert Wesker. Hang on, when did he get busy? Yeah, Wesker fucks. Being taken into custody by a grown-up Sherry Birkin, who is now a BSAA agent. Muller is the key to creating a vaccine to the new C virus, but Birkin's mission to extract him from the fictional country of Adonia is put on hold when they are hunted down by a new bioweapon called Ustanak, which is like Nemesis on steroids. To add insult to injury, during the attack they are abducted by an imposter calling herself Ada Wong. Meanwhile, BSAA agents Chris Redfield and Piers Nivans are in the same neighbourhood to keep the local infected population under control. They soon come under attack from a new organisation calling itself Neo Umbrella, supposedly led by Ada Wong, and their whole squad is wiped out by the C virus. Fast forward 6 months and the American president is about to air Umbrella's dirty laundry from the 1998 Raccoon City outbreaks. But there's another bioterrorism attack and the president is infected, forcing our old friend Leon Kennedy to kill him. Leon uncovers that the National Security Advisor Derek Simmons was behind the attack, and he tracks down Simmons to a Neo Umbrella lab in Langxiang, China, with his partner Helena Harper. Chris and Piers are then dispatched to Langxiang to hunt down Ada, and they come into contact with Leon and Helena, who inform them that the Ada that they are hunting is in fact a clone. Following their run-in with Chris, Leon and Helena finally confront and defeat a mutated Simmons. Leon then dispatches Chris and Piers to an oil rig to rescue Jake and Sherry and prevent another large-scale bioterrorism attack, this time courtesy of a bioweapon called Chaos. This kitchen sink approach to storytelling all dovetails into a messy conclusion that sees Pierce inject himself with the C virus to defeat Chaos. Sherry and Jake then killed the behemoth Ustanak, and the real Ada destroys the lab where her clone was created. Whew, that was a lot. And I didn't even mention the fact that the logo looks like a giraffe being sucked off by a...
Yeah. Oh, and there's one more, okay. Vendetta.
Unfortunately, the film trilogy closer Resident Evil Vendetta also throws everything in the kitchen sink into its overstuffed narrative too. Vendetta brings Chris and Leon back together again, but also throws Rebecca Chambers back into the mix.
Didn't Resident Evil 6 happen in Guatemala? I thought I was told that it happened in Guatemala. Am I wrong here? Yeah,
remember her? Last time we saw her on the timeline was all the way back in the original Resi, like 20 or so minutes ago. Anyway, this trio of bioterrorism-busting badasses get embroiled in yet another attempt to unleash a new virus on the unsuspecting citizens of the world. But this time it's a virus with a new name. The A virus, because, well, that letter wasn't yet taken. Long story short, the trio succeed, and along the way, there's fan favourites all over the shop. A new tyrant, a launcher of the grenade variety, and of course, lots and lots of virus-riddled zombies.
Nice. And this is where we're going to leave this video, because Resident Evil 7 and Village, we haven't played. And Shadow of Rose, I guess, is afterwards. I don't know. I don't care. So, this is incredible. I'm loving this timeline. It's such a cool story, and there are so many parallels with Metal Gear Solid that I'm seeing. This is awesome. This is awesome. I'm loving it. I am loving it. I am absolutely loving it. Shadow Rose DLC for Resident Evil 8, continuation of the story. So I might have it. So I might already have it because I bought pretty much all of the games that I could find on sale. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break. Just gonna go take a piss real quick, and then we're gonna start with Resident Evil 7. We're gonna leave this video here. We're not gonna watch all the way to the end because we're gonna play the rest. So I don't know if I'll upload this us watching this because this was like an hour plus, but yes, it's like separate ways for RE4. Oh, okay, so it's okay. Still, that sounds cool. Separate ways was awesome. So yes, we'll see. Anyway, let me put some background music while I go to the bathroom, and I will be right back. And when we're back in about 2-3 minutes, we are gonna start Resident Evil 7. So don't go anywhere. We will be right